Good evening. It's 6 o'clock. At this time, I will call the regular meeting of the Perry City Council for Tuesday, February the 17th, 2026 to order. We do have a quorum. Item 3 on our agenda this evening is the invocation and pledge of allegiance to the flag. This evening, Mr. Peterson will lead us in the invocation, and Mr. Moody will lead us in the pledge of allegiance. If you are able, would you please stand?
And let us pray. Father, we invite you to lead our proceedings tonight, to make your presence known. We in Perry are faced with enormous issues and difficult decisions. And so we plead for your wisdom to see your ways, to do things that are honorable, the things that honor you and bring peace and prosperity to our community. And we know that you have concern for it. And so we wish to cooperate with you in bringing that to our citizens here. So we ask you to speak to us and to lead our time tonight. We pray that you will continue to bless our mayor, council members, our staff, and all of our citizens, and bless this time tonight as well as our city. In the name of the Lord Jesus. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen. Item 4 is citizens with input relative to the agenda, except those items that will be heard in the public hearing. Is there anyone here that would like to address mayor and council relative to an agenda item? Yes, sir. If you would come forward and give us your name and address.
Robert Russell, 913 Evergreen Street in Perry. I'd like Alicia talking about the Carroll Street improvements, but I got a letter today, and they're talking about improvements on Jernigan Street on this end right here where all the development is going. And she wants to talk about connectivity and walkability, public space, beautification, extending downtown experience, and design character. And I don't know. Carroll Street looks pretty good. Down there looks pretty rough. So we might want to focus our attention that way instead of doing more for Carroll Street. Another thing too, what she proposing, I don't know, we'd be better off just closing off Carroll Street to traffic and doing with those parking and just let be open market down there. That's my input. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, it's relevant to the agenda.
I hope so. The Councilwoman Faust indicated earlier in the month about that the city is in debt. I'd like to know, how we got there, and if there's anything that can be paused in order to get to a balanced budget. There's a lot of talk on social media about statues being moved, streets being renovated and what have you, Carroll Street, Jernigan Street, what have you. So is it possible to get to a balanced budget this year? What can be paused in order to help get there? And what has the city done to get there?
Okay. Our audit will be presented tonight.
Okay, great.
Mayor,
Could we have your name and address, please?
Sure. Robert Sharples, 200 Hill Road, Perry.
Anyone else who would like to address mayor and council this evening? Thank you. Item 5, recognitions and presentations. Item 5A is a presentation of the 2025 financial audit by Mr. Davy King, the senior manager at Malden and Jenkins.
Mayor and Council, I'll do a quick introduction if that's okay. So happy to have Davy King here. Davy's been involved with the city's audit. We were talking earlier, I think this was year 10, so if he probably knows just as much about the books as anybody other than maybe me and the other finance staff right now. Davy is the senior manager. He does a great job for us, and I hope you'll pay him great attention tonight. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. Thank you for having me this evening to present the results of the audit. First off, the financial statements themselves are the responsibility of make sure it's not me. All right.
If everyone would turn off their cell phones.
All right. This is not that loud. I'll go ahead. First off, the financial. All right. The financial statements themselves are responsibility of management and the board. Our job as your auditor is to come in and provide or conduct an audit and provide an opinion on these statements. We conducted our audit in accordance with government auditing standards and generally accepted accounting standards. Happy to say that we are issuing a clean, unmodified opinion. It's the highest level of assurance that we can provide as your external auditor. What this means is that we consider the financial statements themselves be fairly presented in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. There's 2 other reports that we issue as well as part of this, the audit. We issue one called the Yellow Book Report. This report is where we look at your compliance with laws and regulations. Once again, there was no issues to report on this report. There's one more report that we issue called the Single Audit Report. This is issued when a city has over $750,000 in federal expenditures. The city had about $24.4 million in federal awards last year, and we conducted a single audit on 2 major programs. Once again, there was no issues to report there, so that's the best grade we can give as your external auditor. No findings, no clean opinions, so great job. So now let's take a look at the financial statements themselves. The first part, I'm going to look at the government-wide level. And at the government-wide level, the city had about $239 million in assets and deferred outflows. This was offset by approximately $117 million of liabilities and deferred inflows, which resulted in net position of about $99 million. And then I won't spend too much time there. I mean, I like to look more at the general fund. This is kind of the heart and soul of the operations of the city. So looking at the general fund, general fund had about, lost my spot.
Excuse me, would you mind giving us a page number to refer to so we can see what you're talking
I'm looking at the auditor's
about?
discussion and
Thank you.
analysis, and I'm on page 6 now. So looking at the general fund, you can see the breakdown of the revenues. Obviously, the biggest portion was the property taxes of about $14.4 million, and you can see all the other little pieces. But the main one for the city is property taxes, which is about 44% of general fund revenues. Flipping over, the expenditures for the year. Once again, like the biggest portions of your expenditures will be on your general government and public safety. The general fund reported a fund balance of about $5.4 million, which is about 2 months of operating expenditures. If the city were to stop taking in money, the fund balance would cover 2 months of operating expenditures. Now I'm going to flip a few pages and look over at the water and sewer. So So I'm going to be referring to the financial statements on this one. Look, I'm mainly going to focus on water and sewer, as this is the bulk of the operations of the enterprise funds. For the water and sewer, they had total assets of about $112 million, offset by liabilities of $56 million, which resulted in net position of about $56.6 million, which was an increase of about 6.8 from the prior year. So great job. Like, the water and sewer look real healthy this year. It's doing the job. It's providing that funding to keep it in operation. There's a few things that auditing standards require that we communicate to you all. It's, with y'all getting a clean opinion, no findings, they're essentially just a formality. As your auditor, we were independent of the city as required by auditing standards. We had no difficulties dealing with management. There was no uncorrected misstatements. So it's a great job. I'd like to thank Mitchell for all his hard work. It's such a pleasure to work with every year. And I'd also like to mention the city goes above and beyond to prepare an annual comprehensive financial report. It takes a lot more work for Mitchell to get all that additional information together. So great job, Mitchell. Thank you, as always, for your help. And with that, that concludes my presentation, unless there's any questions that you have for me, and I'd be happy to answer.
Questions, council members? Yes, sir, Mr. Peterson.
Learning to go through this audit has been an adventure, and I really appreciate Mr. Worthington spending a lot of time answering questions and stuff. I kept looking for a good lottery number in here, but I couldn't find it. So maybe next year if you could arrange something like that. But I did have some questions, just because I've been in recent, actually months, just kind of really taking a deeper dive into our finances and our borrowing, things like that. So I wanted, on page 28, I just want to make sure that I understand a couple of numbers here. Page 8 talks about the proprietary funds. I love the way this is set out with each of our different funds, with the revenues and the expenses, et cetera. So and I'm most concerned with the water sewer system, because that's kind of the big elephant that's in the room regarding our approach as we get into the FY27 budget and start that planning process. But under the operating revenue, so I would understand that the charges for the services for that, which is listed at $12,400,211, that is from the rates that the customers have paid to put into that fund, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. I don't really know what the miscellaneous refers to, but that seems relatively insignificant compared to 12 million, 12.5 million almost. So that is the revenue. On the operating expenses, cost of sales and services, I take it that would be like the direct operations of our sewer plant and maintenance of all the sewer system. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
The 7.7 million. The salaries are our employees that work with, I guess, ESG to perform that. I did have a question on the depreciation. Actually, I had a question. Administration at $1.3 million. What exactly does that cover? And I don't know if that's your question or Mr. Worthington.
Yeah, without having the trial balance right in front of me, I don't know exactly what all goes into that. That'd be probably more Mitchell. He'd know the ins and outs of that.
Sure. The vast majority of that is going to be the indirect costs that we paid back to the general fund to cover things such as our customer service department, who sends out all the bills for the water fund.
Okay, I see.
We do charge out some of the finance, because my finance staff spends a lot of time working on the water fund. It's one of our biggest enterprise funds.
I can imagine.
And all that. So the big one is going to be those indirect costs, is how you would call them, but it's to cost out the cost of the staff that aren't assigned to water and sewer fund.
I understand, especially with customer service. Those are pretty important people in our city. And I did want to clarify on the depreciation. I understand that is really money that is not paid out, but it's
that's
sort
really
of
just a
set aside
financial
as a
statement
reserve
thing,
fund
'cause
for
the city
major
incurred
repair.
the cost all at one time, and then this is just a financial statement thing where it's recognized. The cost is allocated over the life of the asset. So it's not a true financial, like a cash flow item. It's just a financial statement thing.
Okay, well, if I look at that, we have this revenue of 12.4 million And if I don't count the if I don't count the depreciation, which is not really cash out the door, but it's held in reserve, it looks like, in fact, that particular fund ends up with a, I guess what I'd say, a positive surplus of somewhere in the neighborhood of $3 million.
Yeah.
Would that be accurate there? Okay. And the other question I had regarding this is, where in the audit does it describe what our debt of the city would be in terms of money? The reason I ask that is because, as I have discussed with Mr. Smith, we're looking at an operational expense of approximately $750,000 that will hit our FY25 budget. And at the same time, we're going to be starting the payments on our $50 million for the Harris plant to be built, which is going to, by my calculation, add up to somewhere in the neighborhood of $6.8 million. For a total of $7.5 million, we're going to have to figure out how to pay with that. Now, it's great that we have a FY25 surplus maybe of $3 million. I don't know if that will last, if we'll be having this same conversation when we do our FY26 budget. But all that to say, we've got a lot of debt that's coming at us, and it's great that we have a new operation plant, and we just don't have the customers to pay for all this yet. Over time, that will improve and cover itself. So I just want to make sure that I have those numbers kind of approximately correct
Yes,
with
sir.
that. Okay.
Well, I mean, if you want to look in the financial statements on about page 49, the note 7, long-term debt, this has the maturity schedules for both governmental debt and business type debts. If you flip a little further.
And I'm sorry, that was page 47?
Yes, but if you go a
9,
little
okay, good.
further,
that
page
one marked.
53, it has like a roll forward, like a summary of it. So
Yes.
you'll see for the governmental activities, city had about 52.6 million of revenue bonds, 2.1 finance purchases, business type activities, which is like I think most of it's water, sewer, maybe some in gas, had revenue bonds of 7.8. And then that big note, the 50 million you referenced, and that's on the notes from direct borrowings. That's that note with GFA, about 39.7 million at year end, which I think there may be an older one in there too that's already been paid down, if I remember correctly. But yes, that summary right there shows the total debt of the city at 6/30/25.
Yeah, and that's why I tried to add up to get to the number I shared with you, just to make sure I was being accurate on that. So that's good. I did have one other question that regards from page 100,
Okay.
where it talks about what the legal debt limit is on a municipality, and it kind of points out that it should be no more than 10%, if I understand, 10% of overall, I guess, value. Is that the best way? And so we have a freedom to do obligation bonds of $100 million. Is there any kind of ratio that discusses or gives some guidelines as to revenue bonds? Because all of our borrowing is revenue bonds, but it's going to be a while before we have the customers to actually provide the revenue.
Yeah,
So is there any kind of a yardstick on that?
The only one that's mandated is the general obligation. That's state law that you can only do 10% of the assessed value. Revenue, like the other bonds, finance purchases, all that, I mean, that's kind of management discretion and kind of what direction you want to go. I mean, obviously we're all, like, city's growing, so it makes sense that you're taking out the big $50 million note to do the project. But I mean, no, there's no really mandate on anything besides general obligation bonds.
Yeah, well, and the city was in a position where some of this had to be incurred. It just, that's the way. But it's just we're in the process of saying, okay, well, if we're looking at $7.5 million to start paying next year, that's close to probably. Well, I think you indicated our overall revenue for the city is in the magnitude of $67 million. I think is that correct?
Where were you when you were getting to the $7 million for next year, what was?
I don't
that?
think that's not gonna be in the budget because
Okay.
it's all started, it starts at the end of this fiscal 26 year, and we start to pay it at the beginning of 27, which
Okay.
is this coming July.
I was looking at that note, and I was looking at the current maturities, and okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah, your past figures are good and helpful.
Yeah.
I get it, but
Uh-huh.
I'm just kind of looking at you and saying, okay, well, we got this freight train that's on the tracks.
Yeah.
It's coming our way. I don't know if you have counsel on what to do about that, but other than dig in and write a budget that covers that as well as the other things we'd like to do in our city, keep the operations going. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey there, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I have a couple questions.
Okay.
It's my understanding that we may be lacking in some clear policies and procedures, such as ZIPs, a minimum fund balance policy, and a debt policy. Some of those are referred to on page 43 and 44. As an auditor, do you have concerns related to that?
No, I don't. I mean, the water and sewer is healthy. I mean, you had 2 months of expenditures in general fund, which might be a little lean. I mean, considering property taxes come in probably October, November, but I mean, I think I'm not exactly sure what the dip. There wasn't much of a dip in fund balance per se for general fund. I think it was pretty even with revenues and expenses. So it's pretty even budget. I mean, overall, I think the city's doing well with the proprietary funds providing the services, and there's been so much federal funding out lately. It may have masked some of the stuff in the past. I'm not sure, but I think overall the city's doing well.
Okay. Next, given the amount of water and sewer expenditures that you've referred to, were there any special procedures done through this audit that were done to ensure that those expenditures were appropriate, or is that not the scope of this audit?
Yes, we look at expenditures. I mean, we have our procedures for each. We kind of all balance sheets that we test all your capital assets, your cash balances, receivables, and whatnot. And so yes, we do detailed testing on all that.
Great. Is there anything that you noticed that may not have risen to the level of deficiency or material weaknesses but might give you concern that we need to be aware of moving forward?
No, that we didn't have any management points this year, no management letters, so no findings. So there was nothing in the scope of the audit that caught our attention.
Excellent, thank you. And you've mentioned, my next question was in regard to your opinion about the financial status of our city, short-term and long-term, and you seem to be confident in some of the answers you've already given. So my last question is that I understand you do a lot of audits of municipalities.
Yeah.
And given your experience, is there any area that you see that we might need to improve on or strengthen, both immediate and long-term?
No, this is one of my favorite audits to do throughout the year. I mean, it's great. Mitchell's so easy to work with. It's clean. I mean, of course, there's always some challenges. The city's growing, so just more testing on us. But I mean, I didn't see any issues for concern or anything that we come across.
Wonderful. We like being the favorite. So thank you so much.
It's always great.
I appreciate it.
Other questions, concerns? Thank you, sir. We appreciate your reporting on that. I also would like to compliment our finance department and all the folks that work in that provide the data that you need to complete that audit. I'm delighted that we have a clean audit as we have had in the past. So thank you for your input.
All right. Thank y'all.
Item 6 are appointments. 6A is an appointment to the Board of Adjustments and Appeals by Mayor Pro Tem Peterson.
Thank you, Mayor, and I am pleased to to nominate the reappointment of Rick Saunders. From my understanding, he has served well on this particular board, and he's joining again a very distinguished group of people on that committee. So I'm pleased to do so.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the reappointment of Rick Saunders to the Adjustment and Appeals Board.
So moved.
Been motion and a second. All in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Please let the record show that the appointment was approved unanimously. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
My pleasure.
Item 7, a review of the minutes. 7A, council members, you've been provided the minutes of the January 28th, 2026 special call meeting, the February the 2nd, 2026 work session, February the 3rd pre-council meeting, and the February the 3rd regular meeting. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes as presented. There's a motion and a second. Is there any corrections, deletions, or additions that anyone would like to make to the minutes?
Yes, sir. A couple of corrections. It's minor. Excuse me. On the February 2nd work session minutes, under item 4B2, considering the city banner policy presented by our city manager, Mr. Smith, Dr. Faust's comments, she had voiced concerns about not defining the number of governments and requested that city staff review the banner's content, and I believe that should say grommets rather than, so just a minor cleanup on that one. And also on the February 3rd regular meeting minutes, under item 10 of new business, item F concerned Star Track Liquors doing business as Squire Package Store request, which was presented by Mr. Robert Smith. The comments indicate that Mayor Pro Tempore Moody motioned to deny, and then it was seconded by Council Member Moody. I can't remember if I made the motion and seconded, but or if it was Mayor Pro Tem Peterson, but that needs to be corrected.
We will
too.
go back and listen to the audio tapes and get those corrected.
Thank you.
Okay. We have the corrections of the minutes at this time. All in favor of accepting the minutes with the corrections as outlined by Mr. Moody, please raise your right hand. Okay. Please let the record show that the minutes with corrections were approved unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Moody, for catching those.
Yes, sir.
Item 8 are unfinished businesses. 8A is the unfinished ordinances for the second reading and adoption. 8A1 is the second reading of an ordinance to rezone property to amend existing PUD standards. The property is located at 1824 Houston Lake Road and 1904 Highway 127. The tax map numbers are 0P0490 062 000, 0P0490 061 000, and 0P0490 078 000. Ms. Carson?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, sir. As stated, this is a rezoning request to update the PUD standards for the Encore development. This rezoning request is in response to a request from the Georgia Department of Transportation to increase the distance between the entrance and another turnoff within the development. So they have adjusted the plan to accommodate that requirement from GDOT, and that adjustment qualifies as a substantive change, which requires them to come back before you for approval. Planning Commission again did recommend approval for this application.
Thank you. Questions, council members? Hearing none. At this time, is there anyone here this evening that would like to address mayor and council relative to this ordinance? Yes, sir. Come forward, your name and address, please.
Yes, sir. I'm Brian Braun with Access Engineering Consultants. Be glad to answer any questions. I know I spoke during the first reading, so I won't take up your time, but if you have any questions, be glad to answer.
Okay. Thank you, sir. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve this ordinance as outlined by Ms. Carson.
So moved.
Motion is second. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same. Please let the record show that the ordinance was approved unanimously. Just a moment. Do we know where the noise is coming from?
It sounds like TV to me, Mayor.
I don't know. It's quite disruptive, so I just thought if we could turn something off, but thank you. 8A2 is the second reading of a text amendment to the Land Management Ordinance to amend Section 2-3.12.2 preliminary plats by adding subsection 2-3.13.2G addressing requirements. Mr. Duffy?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening again, Council. I know this is back for second reading, but I would like to read through the staff comments from our staff report. This amendment is intended to streamline the addressing process applied to preliminary plat applications at the beginning of the process upon receipt for review and consideration by the city. The proposed language change is outlined as follows, with the addition of a letter G to section 2-3.13.2 preliminary plats. Number 1, applicants shall be required to submit desired parcel and or suite and or dwelling unit address numbers as a labeled component of preliminary plats. Coordination of addressing compliance with applicable city or county emergency service and public safety agencies is the responsibility of the applicant. A more streamlined process is needed to align with Perry's increased rate of growth and complexity of development patterns. An archaic manual procedure of handwriting addresses by staff physically upon paper plats, then scanned for consideration by emergency services personnel, has proven to be an inefficient means of handling this important process, particularly for larger scale developments and market trends encouraging less traditional mixed-use projects. Planning Commission did recommend approval of this item as well.
Questions, council members? Thank you, Mr. Duffy.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here this evening that would like to address mayor and council relative to this ordinance? Thank you. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve this amendment as outlined by Mr. Duffy.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same. Please let the record show the ordinance was approved unanimously. Item 8A3 is the amended second reading of an ordinance to amend the FY26 operating budget. Mr. Worthington?
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Council, this is the amended second reading of the mid-year budget amendment for fiscal year 26 that takes into account the changes made at the last council meeting, namely the deletion of the 3% increase for the water and sewer consumption rate, the assistant city attorney position, and the associated transfers to balance the budget with those changes. Staff's recommendation would be to adopt as presented.
Okay. Questions, council? Yes, sir.
Well, first I'd like to say thank you for helping to accommodate the wishes of the council on this. I'm sure it won't be the last time, but do that. I did have a couple questions because I was going through the adopted operating budget, and you probably explained this last time, but I missed it. On the first page, it has about the communications department under general government. I guess that's an allocation of revenue from $229,000 to $342,000.
That is correct. It's not an increase in their budget. It's just a change in where it's been budgeted. That additional, what would that be, $112,000-ish was originally budgeted over in the hotel motel fund. Remember, we're changing where we actually charge them, so we're doing a transfer to the general fund before charging the expenses there.
Likewise, under the housing economic development, the number for Main Street Advisory Board went from $2,500 to $52,800.
That is the
Is that the same kind of thing?
Same thing, yes, sir. Those expenses were originally budgeted over in the hotel motel fund.
All right, and I think I had one other one. This was more just a general question. Underwater and sewer system, understand charges and interest. When it says other revenues, $31,000, what is kind of the source of that $31,000?
Put me on the spot here, Councilman Peterson.
I mean, it's not that big. I mean,
sure. I do not know.
Number to me.
I do not know off the top of my head, but I can look it up.
Okay.
In a minute.
I was just curious. I think that was all of my questions, Mayor. Thank you.
Questions? Is there anyone here this evening who would like to address mayor and council relative to the ordinance outlining our 26 operating budget? Thank you. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the amended FY 26 operating budget as outlined by Mr. Worthington.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same. You're opposed? Please let the record show that we had a 5-1 count in favor of the new operating budget. So, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Worthington, for all the work that you guys put in getting that taken care of. Item 9 is any other unfinished business. 9A is unfinished business for the mayor. I do not have any. 9B is any unfinished business from our council members. Dr. Faust? Mr. Jones? No, sir. Dr. Albritton? No, Mr. Moody?
No, sir.
Mayor Trent? Mayor Pro Tem?
Nothing for me. Thank you.
Reverend King? Thank you. Is there any unfinished business from our city attorney, Ms. Newby? Okay, thank you. Is there any unfinished business from our city manager, Mr. Smith?
No, sir.
Thank you. Item 10 is new business. Item 10A is matters referred from our February the 17th, 2026 pre-council meeting. I do not have any items moving forward. Mr. Smith, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Item 10B is ordinances for the first reading and introduction. 10B1 is the first reading of an ordinance to amend the city code relative to section 17-56. Ms. Newby?
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Council, this is a code amendment to repeal section 17-56. As we discussed in your pre-council meeting, in 2000, there was an entire deletion and amended 1755 code section that was put into place to deal with complaints of noise, and it's very comprehensive. It also addresses phonographs, musical instruments, and televisions. And it appears that 1756 was a section that was left in as an oversight when the 1755 was amended. Previously, both of those sections, 1755 and 1756, dealt with noise complaints from the 1966 code. But this is a cleanup item that would also clarify so there's not a conflict between this section dealing with musical instruments and the more comprehensive section in our existing 1755. And this was brought up as a request from police when they were looking to enforce a noise complaint.
Okay. Questions, council members?
Yes, sir. Just to follow up on something that Council Member King had brought up during pre-council about noisy vehicles. Section 17-55 C4 states noisy vehicles, the use of any vehicle in any manner as to create loud and unnecessary noise. That would cover loud music, correct? The way I read it.
Yes, sir, it would, but there's also a section that I think is specific to loud music as well.
Could someone mic take me, please?
8 loudspeakers on vehicles?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good. So we're covered.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions? Thank you, council. There is no action required this evening since this is the first reading of the ordinance. Thank you, Mrs. Newby. Item 10C are resolutions for consideration and adoption. 10C1 is a resolution appointing Mitchell Worthington as the Assistant City Manager. Mrs. Birchall?
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Council, on the February 3rd meeting, we announced the final candidate of Assistant City Manager of Mitchell Worthington. And tonight have the resolution in front of you to move that forward, and it's for your approval. Any questions?
Council? Hearing none. Thank you, Ms. Birchall. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the resolution naming Mr. Worthington as our Assistant City Manager.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Please let the record show that Mr. Worthington was approved unanimously. Thank you, council. Item 10C2 is a resolution to abate public nuisance for 711B Joe Louis Drive. Ms. Newby?
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Council, this resolution before you is your consideration to determine that the structure that exists at 711B Joe Louis Drive is a public nuisance. This follows investigation and inspection of the structure itself by our code enforcement and chief building official, and they have determined from that investigation that it's unfit for human habitation and constitutes an endangerment to the public health and safety, and it also is not compliant with current code or ordinance requirements. This finding would allow us to proceed with having a nuisance abatement action filed in the municipal court.
Questions, council? Yes, sir.
I just had a statement as based on our conversation today. I had a conversation or a question about, are these properties that the city is purchasing? And I know in some cases they have been properties that were purchased, but these are not properties that are being purchased, but they are being abated because of their public nuisance. And as I read through the ordinance on that, I was reading how the city picks up the expense to do all the attorney fees, all the demolition, the preparation of the property. But as I understand correctly, as you explained, that money potentially, at least in the best case scenarios, comes back to us because we put a lien on that property so that upon resale, that is a requirement of that new property purchaser to cover those expenses. That's correct.
Is that not correct, Mrs. Newby?
Yes, sir, that's correct. Any of the expenses that are incurred for going through the nuisance abatement process, whether that's an appraisal to be able to meet the elements of the case, the legal fees, the demolition costs, all of that is placed as a lien against the property. I do just want to point out and make sure that it's clear that the city never takes ownership of the real property whenever we abate a nuisance. The ownership still remains with the property owner. This is the process for when the structure itself is deemed, unfit, it's dilapidated, and it constitutes an endangerment to public health and safety, that through code enforcement we file the action in municipal court and then build the case in front of the judge saying this structure is in such a state of disrepair that it needs to come down. Once we meet that burden, the judge enters an order so that the property owner then has a certain number of days to demolish the structure themselves. If after that time period lapses, the owner has not done that, then the city can step in under that order to actually demolish the property. Once that happens, we would then place the lien against the property. So yes, if the property itself is ever sold, then our lien should be paid off, or a subsequent purchaser would take it subject to our lien. Or we can also, which we have done successfully in the past, foreclose on our lien. And so we've done that with some of these nuisance abatement cases where we have been able to recover the liens. That's not always the case, but
That is the best case scenario, so
yeah,
that's what we try to do every time.
Well, and that was very helpful to hear that explanation, because I know it was one of our strategies as a city to get many of these dilapidated buildings, whether they're residences or commercial buildings, taken care of, and to keep our city beautiful and make these properties available for good redevelopment. So good to know that process.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good explanation. Appreciate it.
Other questions? Hearing none at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the resolution to abate 711B Joe Louis Drive as outlined by Mrs. Newby. There's a motion and a second. All in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Please let the record show the resolution was approved unanimously. Item 10C3, a resolution to abate a public nuisance for 1310 W.F. Reagan Drive. Ms. Newby?
Thank you, Mayor. Likewise, this resolution provides for you that after investigation of our code enforcement and chief building official, the structure located at 1310 W.F. Reagan Drive has been found to constitute a public nuisance, and it's endangerment to public health and safety, and this would authorize us to proceed with filing a nuisance abatement action in municipal court.
Okay. Questions, council? Hearing none at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the abatement at 1310 W.F. Reagan Drive as outlined by Ms. Newby. Motion and a second. All in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Please let the record show the resolution was approved unanimously. Item 10C4 is a resolution to abate public nuisance for 703 Elkin Street. Ms. Newby?
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Council likewise. And finally, this resolution is for 703 Elkin Street. Following investigation and an inspection by code enforcement and the chief building official, the structure that's located at 703 Elkin Street has been found to be unfit for human habitation. It constitutes a public nuisance, and it's an endangerment to the public health and safety as a result of those conditions. And so this would authorize us to proceed with nuisance abatement in municipal court.
Okay, questions, council? Hearing none at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the abatement of a public nuisance located at 703 Elkin Street.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Please let the record show the resolution to abate 703 Elkin Street was approved unanimously. Item 10D is the Rozier Park U10 soccer field change order proposal. Mr. Coates?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As you can see in your e-scribes package, there was a change order proposal that was sent over by McWright LLC in the amount of $16,663. This change order would include an increase in budget to provide additional grading at the water vault, which is on the backside of King's Chapel. Also to adjust the 12-inch stormwater pipe due to the water and power line conflicts, which you can see on the map here that's outlined in the red squiggly line exactly what area they're talking about. And then also to add shrubs along the boundaries of the property line that's adjacent with the county, highlighted in the green as well.
Okay. Questions, council?
Yes, sir. Mr. Coates, it looks like at the bottom left of the screen, I'm assuming red is electric and blue is water.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. And just to verify from our earlier pre-council meeting, this is SPLOS funding.
Yes.
For rec and leisure.
Yes.
That's what the voters approved.
Yes, that is correct, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Other questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Coates. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the change order as outlined by Mr. Coates. The motion is second. All in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Please let the record show that the change order was approved unanimously. Item 11 are general public items. Is there anyone here that would like to address mayor and council at this time? Yes, sir.
Robert Sharples, 200 Hill Road. The water department, is that a self-sustaining activity within that within the city? Do they just operate on their own revenue, or is other than personnel costs and that sort of thing that's reimbursed by the city? But is it self-sufficient?
It's an enterprise fund, and our expectation is it stands on its own.
Okay, good.
Thank you. Anyone else that would like to address mayor and council? Thank you. Item 12 are council member items. Dr. Faust?
I just have one thing quickly. A constituent called me last week and we discussed a concern she had. I reached out to Ms. White. She was immediate in her response. Such a wonderful representative of our city, and the kindness and efficiency and quick response. And the constituent actually messaged me today to ask me to thank you publicly, and I wanted to do that. So I appreciate you. Thank you very much for your work.
Mr. Jones? Dr. Albright? Mr. Moody?
Yes, sir. I have two items. I'd like to say that mayor and council are committed to fiscal discipline and debt reduction by controlling costs, improving efficiency, and prioritizing essential infrastructure. So by controlling costs, reducing debt, and treating rate increases as a last resort, we are protecting residents today while making sure our water and sewer systems remain safe and reliable for decades to come. And the second item I'd like to mention is to segue on Dr. Faust's comments about the professionalism of Public Works and Mrs. White's great leadership of that department. Over the last several pickup days, I've noticed that your employees that are on the knuckle boom truck do a phenomenal job with such a big, heavy piece of equipment. I had some large lawn and leaf bags out front full of, they were heavy. And the finesse that the operator used to pick those up, they didn't burst and make a mess all over the place. He was very, very gentle with it. And as recently as this morning, my neighbor had a large screen TV out by the street. Again, I'm not sure if it was the same employee, but he was worried about the claw, he called it, bursting the glass and making a mess. I said, I assure you, you don't have anything to worry about. And in the event that something did happen, they would get it up. Well, I'm happy to say I was observing him as he picked it up, and he picked it up so gently. I mean, it looks like it could do a lot of damage, that piece of equipment with all the hydraulics, but he picked it up so gently and dropped it into the back of the truck. So I commend you for not just those two instances, but for the many examples of professionalism and that your department shows.
I've lost my voice again, but I'm going to try. I think that we are so fortunate to have some great operators, and they love getting compliments, so I'll be sure and let them know you said so tomorrow.
Thank you. That's all, Mayor.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, I did have one item, and it kind of relates to the conversation that we had earlier today with Mr. Smith about, in light of the debt that was discussed tonight, and a lot of that coming to us, starting with fiscal 27, that's really unfunded, the need for the council to really be scrutinizing the budget with the staff. And I know we had discussed a series of really work sessions, I guess, where we would be able to hear from department heads and then go through their budgets with them, because we'll have to look at that. It just occurred to me this afternoon, thinking through that, I don't know how interested everybody is on council in sitting through those kinds of more detailed things. Perhaps they are, so I would be good with that. I did notice in reading through our charter that you prepared for our retreat, reading through that, you also have the power to set up or to appoint committees. Mm-hmm. And as an alternative, if there are those who would prefer to, which would probably be a smaller number of council people, but would prefer to be a part of a budget oversight committee that might sit down and go through the labors of working through budgets and coming back to the council. And I know everybody has different work schedules, time availability, but I just thought, that could certainly be an alternative to creating 3 or 4 or 5 work sessions involving the whole council. I don't know which is easier, which might be preferred, but just offer that as an alternative. And I know I'd certainly want to be a part of that. There's probably others on the council that would, some that might not be. So as an option.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. We'll take that under consideration. Mr. King. Okay. Mr. Smith?
No, sir.
Okay. Ms. Newby? Okay. Item 13 are department heads. Ms. Wharton? Congratulations to Main Street for their achieving Main Street of the Month for the state of Georgia. So if you would pass that on to Ms. Hartley, we wanted to acknowledge that here in this meeting. So that's an outstanding performance of where we started and where we are today. So if you will let her know, I would appreciate it. Mr. Worthington?
Yes, Mayor, 2 items real fast. Mr. Peterson, you had asked earlier about the $31,000 in other revenues for the water and sewer fund. That is made up of a rental fee that the gas fund pays over to the water fund. Those 2 crews operate out of the same building, and that building is owned and operated by the water fund. So the gas fund reimburses that $31,000 to the water fund to make them whole. Sorry I didn't have that up on the dais.
That's okay. Please express our appreciation to the gas people.
There we go.
Send more.
And number two is just I wanted to thank you all for your confidence in voting for me and appointing me as the assistant city manager, and I look forward to working with you all and forwarding the city's goals and objectives.
Thank you. Mr. Duffy?
Nothing tonight, sir.
Mr. Coates?
Yes, Mayor and Council. I do have one item. Our basketball program next week will be starting their District 6 basketball championship. So they'll be all over the state of Georgia within the region competing for the rights to be district champions. And hopefully they can go on the state and become state champions too as well. One key highlight to note is that our 8 and under boys will be playing here at home in Perry starting on Monday through Saturday, and those games will be on Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and Saturday. So,
Thank you, and good luck on getting that state championship.
yes, sir.
Okay. Chief? Chief Everidge? Sorry you couldn't find the noise. I know you were looking for it. Ms. White? Ms. Birdshaw? Mrs. Clark? Okay. Ms. Warren, is there anything you have for us? Thank you. Item 14 are mayor items. I just wanted to reemphasize that all of our meetings are open to the public, and we appreciate your interest and participation in those meetings. Our next meeting will be March the 2nd at 6 p.m. here in this chamber. That will be our work session. Then we'll have our March 3rd pre-council and council meeting starting at 5 o'clock on March the 3rd. So we would appreciate your interest and participation in those meetings. If there's nothing else to come before us, at this time I'll entertain a motion to adjourn our regular session. Motion is second. All in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. We do stand adjourned until March the 2nd. I guess we